PYRA and MYTHRA are very strong fighters in Ultimate, consistently coming in as top tier characters in everyone's personal tier list and even the official one, but unlike Steve, who usually places first in these rankings, there are actually a lot of people that use them, while this guy thankfully isn't played by many. So while in my last video I talked about the best character in the game, this one is probably more important if you're trying to be good at beating all the top tiers, because these two are still very scary to bump into, and odds are you'll be seeing them a lot more than Steve. While the Blockman has more straightforward weaknesses like playing mid-range or stopping him from mining, Aegis's weak points aren't that easy to pin down, so it'll be harder to get into it. They're the second best in the game, so, you know, they're not easy to beat. I think around 80% of you are coming into this video already knowing the basics of what it means to fight PYRA and MYTHRA. I see you, but just in case, here's what makes these two so good. PYRA and MYTHRA's main DLC thing is their down B, which lets them tag in their counterpart. If you're PYRA, you press down B and you're the other one, and vice versa. Cool. MYTHRA is better at combos and has better mobility, but isn't very good at securing KOs, while PYRA has the stronger moves that kill better, but is pretty slow, which means they cover each other's weaknesses pretty efficiently. In a nutshell, MYTHRA's better at neutral when your opponent is looking for an opening, and excels at dealing safe damage with safe combos. And once in advantage state, PYRA is better at capitalizing off edge guards, reads, juggles, or any opportunity they might have. But of course, it's not that simple. It's not just like, oh, this one can kill and this one can combo. Because for example, while racking up damage is more MYTHRA's thing, PYRA is pretty good at juggling, not that MYTHRA isn't, because her aerials are huge and strong. And while ledge trapping, because again, her aerials are huge and strong, but also because in these situations, when you're in a good spot and you're calling out moves and your opponent has less options to choose from, speed isn't that big of a factor. And for MYTHRA, higher speed and frame data doesn't just mean cool combos, it also means an amazing neutral game, making her hard to approach and very easy for her to approach you, which means that losing an interaction in neutral will cost you a lot of damage. In stages with platforms, it's not very difficult for MYTHRA to keep stage control, and on the outskirts of the stage, PYRA is better at ledge trapping, again because of her big and strong moves, and I've heard arguments for both on who's better at edge guarding, but I think most people agree that PYRA is better off stage because you usually only throw out one aerial at a time before you go back to the ledge, and MYTHRA's strong follow-up game is useless here when you can just throw out one move and be done with it. Why do that when you could do this? And that's why they're so good and why it's hard to pin down where they struggle, because most of the time what one of them sucks with is what the other one is pretty great at. It's cheesy, but I mean DLC, whatever, let's just learn how to fight them. Before I get into what we can take advantage of, I want to make it clear that these two are top tiers for a reason, and they have a lot of dumb stuff going for them that you should keep in mind before you try to play to their weaknesses. MYTHRA's moves, surprise surprise, are very safe and have very low end lag. It's easy for her to find an opening and take you for a ride, which means that while being careful with what moves you throw out is always important when fighting anyone, giving MYTHRA a chance to attack can really screw you up. Don't use your laggy moves in neutral, any unsafe landing on her shield will get you punished, respect the speed, stay on your feet, and know the risks when committing to something in neutral. But dealing with her speed isn't just about what will happen when you whiff an attack, but also when MYTHRA does, because while you may think you have a fast enough out of shield option or a good enough opening, you might just be wrong, because her frame data is that good, so find your quickest move and hope it's fast enough. Finally, while PYRA is known to be the slow one, be careful when trying to punish her neutral B because it has surprisingly low end lag. More on punishing it later, but for now all her other moves are pretty laggy. She doesn't get that much out of shield other than her up B, but with MYTHRA, knowing what your out of shield options are is very important, along with being very careful considering what she can do to punish you and what you can do to punish her. Something that happens a lot when playing against a rushdown is you'll be more prone to picking up bad habits. Playing against MYTHRA means that you have less time to think and you might get conditioned into choosing an option that will get you red, which can be even more devastating when you can get conditioned by MYTHRA but also punished by PYRA. Not only on stage but in recovery, you need to learn to mix up your options because while they can't get that far out of the stage themselves, getting predictable against PYRA's edge guards will get you killed. Finally, before I get into their weaknesses, here are some moves you should look out for. PYRA's down air. The spike hitbox is extremely generous and very rewarding, leading to slimy 2-frame spikes and also really easy kill confirms while on stage. For the 2-frame thing, she won't always go for it, but when she does, the best you can do here is mix up your options so she has a harder time timing it. And if you get hit by the spike hitbox while on the ground, good luck. It's a true kill confirm most of the time. Sometimes you can DI it and pray she messed up the timing even though it's super easy, or you might be in a percentage that makes the combo not true, but mix up your options because up smash isn't the only thing it combos into. Or anticipate it and shield it because it's a pretty common thing they'll go for, especially if they're getting desperate. And if you shield it, you have a chance to punish it because it is not a safe move. Next, PYRA's up B is insanely strong. It's a good out of shield option, especially on platforms, but a safe enough move should give you the chance to maybe shield it in time. If you pick a riskier move, it will take some really early stocks and you'll get mad. Also, and this is mostly seen online and not so much in tournaments, but PYRA's up B as a ledge option is somewhat common, so watch out for that. It's insanely laggy laggy too, so if she whiffs it, you can punish it very easily. Flame Nova is PYRA's neutral B. It has low end lag, especially considering its power, but it hits 3 to 5 times, and if you shield it, you can jump over the first hit and punish it with an aerial. The better use for Flame Nova is during ledge trapping. Because it has almost no end lag, it's not that hard to catch jumps even if she does commit to the neutral B, so be very careful with this move at ledge because it will kill you very early. Sometimes you can beat it with get up attack if it isn't spaced or jumping, just knowing she might be ready for it. It doesn't hit below the ledge, but she really has no reason to not just press B again. Blazing End is another good PYRA move in her side B. It doesn't really kill unless you get edge guarded by it, but it's good damage if she catches you off guard, and it's easy to drop shield early if you weren't ready for it. But you can roll out of it and go for a punish if you're quick, and remember it doesn't have a hitbox on the way back, so you don't need to worry about it like you would with a boomerang. There's even lag for it when she catches it back, so just remember in this scenario your opponent will be completely on the defensive, so watch their habits. Online it's mostly rolls, but if you're fighting some more skilled players, there's still a bunch of stuff she can do to retreat before she gets her moves back. Also, there are some projectiles that go through it, so if you have some, test out which ones can. On the MYTHRA side, her side B is Photon Edge. It's good for recovery, something they need, more on that later, but for offense, if you shield it, it's a free punish. It's usually seen catching landings for recovery or for ledge trapping. At first I think we were all scared of PYRA and MYTHRA side Bs, but they're actually some of their riskier moves, and in a way, if I was fighting someone who's spamming these moves instead of their other far better ones, I'd be relieved, but maybe that's just me. Finally, Foresight. It's pretty dumb. I'm sorry, but we have to deal with it. Still, it always helps to know more about what it is. So basically, if MYTHRA dodges a move right before getting hit, she might freeze you in place for a little while, and for how long, that depends on your percentage. This activates between frames 2 and 6 on her spot dodge and forward roll, 2 and 7 on her back roll, and 2 and 5 on her air dodges. It's really stupid. Avoid getting called out for landing with a multi-hit because it lets her punish you with moves that are not usually out of shield attacks. Of course, it's not something all MYTHRAs will go for all the time, but it's a thing, so look out for that. And sometimes she'll even have time to switch to PYRA and punish you with her. Once you get foresighted, it's really up to her to decide what to do with you, but while again this isn't a thing every MYTHRA will try to land all the time, sometimes you can try anticipating spot dodges or rolls if you feel like they're fishing for it. Okay, so that was me telling you how to play around some more commonly used moves, but here are a couple of raw, more straightforward weaknesses that they have across their kit. Yes, MYTHRA can struggle to KO, and yes, PYRA is slow and easy to combo, but unless you're fighting someone who only likes to play one of the two for some reason, then it really doesn't matter because they can just tag out and turn their weaknesses into their strengths. So, excluding that, their throws aren't bad, I want to make that clear. Some of them are combo throws at low percents, and some of them can set up for a MYTHRA aerial which can be good at ledge. But they won't KO because that's just how MYTHRA aerials are. The weakness is they don't outright kill. In late percents, when you're most likely fighting PYRA, you're free to shield more knowing that grabs are not what they're looking for. Still, don't let it break because PYRA can eat up shields, but keep in mind their throws can't kill you. Their recovery is not great, but don't think it's a free edge guard. They still have a bunch of things they can do to spice things up a little, but if you get them off stage, it's a pretty linear recovery that you'll be dealing with, and it isn't that hard to mess with it. Both of their up Bs don't go very high, and their only move that moves horizontally is MYTHRA's side B. Sure, MYTHRA can use her side B to make it back, but like we saw before, it loses to shield, and it also loses to projectiles. If she doesn't use her side B and they don't want to risk recovering high, then both PYRA and her can pretty much only recover low, which requires them to align themselves with the stage before using their up B, which is pretty easy to stop with a long-lasting aerial. Just make sure to tech the projectiles that come out of MYTHRA's up B if it comes to it. Of course, your opponent will know this, and so sometimes they'll try to mix it up and use their up Bs early or MYTHRA's air dodge instead, but after some practice, they're still an easy enough character to edgeguard if you get the timing right. If they make it back, it's a pretty standard ledge trapping game, just watch out for their up Bs. They're not their best option because like I said before, they're easy to punish if you manage to shield it, but it can still catch you off guard, and at a low level or online, I assure you there are a lot of PYRAs out there who will go for the up B at ledge all the time because, ooh, this kills. So just, yeah, remember you're at an advantage when you're ledge trapping them, but don't sleep on their ledge options. Everybody has different disadvantage states. Sometimes it's basically non-existent. For example, Pikachu is really good at getting out of combos and has one of the best recoveries in the game and is overall really good at turning the tables. But in this case, PYRA is not the best at escaping combos because her moves don't come out as fast. MYTHRA's moves do, and she has Foresight, which is a big help for sure, but they're both still fast fallers, which means they're easier to juggle and combo, and it's also harder for them to react to tech situations. So make sure that once you find an opening, you do your best to get the most out of it, and keep an eye out for what they do when they try to escape. To finish off the video, for you tournament goers, here are the stages you should avoid when fighting them along with their matchups. Platforms are a big help for MYTHRA's combo game. Swordies tend to duel on platforms, so avoid stages like Battlefield and try to go to FD and stages that aren't as platform heavy. Even if you also play a character that does well on platforms, trust me, they get more out of it than you do. Flat stages are great also because it'll be harder to get juggled or caught by PYRA's insanely big and strong moves that kill off the top when you're stuck on a platform. A lot of PYRA's best kill moves send you upwards, and platforms will help them KO even earlier. As for matchups, they don't have a lot of bad ones, but they don't tend to do as well against fighters who can compete with or even match MYTHRA speed like Joker, Pikachu, Sonic, or Diddy. Not only because as MYTHRA you will have to turn your brain on a little more, but as PYRA these characters have a lot of options when it comes to punishing unsafe moves and getting the most out of putting you in disadvantage. And that's pretty much it. I hope this video helped you learn more about going against one of the strongest fighters in the game. But remember, they may have noticeable weaknesses, but they're up there for a reason. Be sure to practice all the stuff I mentioned because knowing what their weaknesses are is only the first step in learning a matchup. Also, please subscribe, help me get monetized so my mom will be proud of me. Ooh, money. Thanks for watching. Take a look at the pinned comment, reply with Fortnite epic if you made it this far. Bye.